Hurry up and wait. Man, that is one of the sayings that I heard so many times over my wildland firefighting career. A lot of people think that wildland firefighting is high paced, that you travel across the country to responding to a wildland fire, and when you get there, it's boots on the ground and it's going, going, going. In reality, there's a lot of waiting, um, mainly for safety reasons. A lot of the leadership and leaders in wildland fire, as they're making decisions, taking a lot of considerations and take their time. And so before they engage the people that are working for them and the resources, they're making sure that they have a good, solid plan. And I can remember so many times, especially early on in my career, just the excitement of arriving at a large wildfire out west. And I couldn't wait, to get on the fire line and get to fighting fire. And many times we would travel across the country, arrive at the incident, and in the process of checking in and getting all our paperwork and getting our assignments and getting our briefing and traveling out to the fire line and getting to a drop point, and then half a day has gone by, and we're just waiting. And I remember hearing that phrase so many times, just hurry up and wait. But there's a lot of truth to that. And thinking about that in the context of wildland firefighting, when you get impatient, when you get in a hurry, that's when you make mistakes. But oftentimes our prayers to the Lord are kind of the same way. We want things right now. And you and I live in a society and live in an age where we have so much information that is available to us instantly. You can search the internet and get an answer to something instantly. You can call someone, and most of the time they answer instantly. So we live in this age of instant expectation. And oftentimes that can be the same way with the Lord, that we ask and we want God to reveal things to you and I, and we want Him to do it right now, instantly. But oftentimes that leaves out the maturing and growing process of our request and of our prayers. And it also takes away from us growing in our faith. So listen to what the Bible says here. One of my favorite Psalms, by the way, there's a lot of good, encouraging words in Psalm 27. So I would encourage you to read and study the entire Psalm 27. There's a whole lot in that Psalm. But the Psalm ends saying this: wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and He shall strengthen thine heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. So it's interesting to me that as the psalmist closes out this particular psalm, twice the psalmist says to wait. So again, wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and He shall strengthen thine heart. Wait. And so the psalmist is ending here, encouraging you and I that when we ask of the Lord, when we're needing or expecting something from God, it's not going to be instantaneous, because oftentimes that's where we make mistakes. And when we get in a hurry, when we get discouraged by not hearing something from the Lord, that's oftentimes when our faith is challenged. And so you and I need to be reminded today, as the psalmist is saying here, just to wait on the Lord's timing. His timing is perfect, regardless of what your request is, regardless of what you have been asking Him. His timing is perfect. And then listen to what the psalmist says. It says, the psalmist says, be of good courage. Now, you and I need to be reminded of that, to be courageous in your walk with the Lord, not to get disheartened and not to get discouraged because you have not heard from the Lord immediately. Because maybe God's trying to teach you something or show you something, or there may even be other things that God is putting in place to answer your prayer request, whatever that may be, as you're seeking the Lord. Just have that courage, knowing that God is doing something and he will do something. He does hear your prayer and he is listening. The psalmist goes on to say, and he shall strengthen thine heart. And oftentimes you and I are asking God to do things in our lives, but we forget that our dependence is on God. It's not necessarily God answering that prayer request to give us financial provisions or help us with a friendship or give healing for a disease or a sickness. Yes, God's going to do those things, but ultimately God answers your prayers because he wants you to depend on him, to increase your faith and trust in him. And so the psalmist reminds you and I of that, as the psalmist says, he shall strengthen thine heart. And then again, that reminder just to wait on the Lord. One of my favorite psalms that I love the most is Psalm 40. And listen to what David says in Psalm 40. This particular song gives me a lot of encouragement. David writes this in Psalm 40: I waited patiently for the Lord. Now, there again, that's something that I've had to work on and I'm still working on, to be very patient. But listen to what David says as he opens up this particular psalm. David says, I waited patiently for the Lord, and he inclined unto me and heard my cry. So you can be reminded that God does hear your prayers. He is listening to your prayers. He will answer your prayers, but you must wait. Wait for his timing. Wait to see how he's going to answer your prayer. And during that time, you're increasing your strength and your faith as you trust him.